I'm like,
All right, you gotta tell me those pictures you got back there.
yeah. Okay. I feel like they are like not straight. Yeah.
So what is that? What are those pictures?
They are from a friend that takes like pictures or photos and do some collage with like animal heads. Let me see if I can take this one out.
Oh yeah. You shared that with me before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to buy a few more so I can fill the
You gotta put it in
space.
frames though.
Yeah, I should.
So like I can't show it here because I'm at my brother's because my place is getting fumigated.
That's a nice one.
Uh
The one you have there.
yeah, this one's cool. I'm gonna have my water bottles right there.
Drink
Always
water.
gotta stay hydrated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're doing demo and stand up. I don't know if anybody else will be joining. Do you have what you've been working on for the billing stuff? Just
Yeah, I've been like
like
adapting it to. Yeah, I can show it.
so for the viewers, what we're trying to do is so we have a separate billing website than the marketing website, and so when you jump from and we track, we pretty much are looking at what people are doing on the marketing website and when they carry over. And one thing we've noticed is that it's just we have a lack of you show it off.
Yeah, consistency. Yeah, I can show the difference because it's not yet in production, it's in master. So if I go to Haley, so this is our marketing website, and this is our billing website. That well, the logo is old. It was different. The size of this
Why
like
is it not loading?
container. Yeah,
Oh, there
it's
it is.
it
Okay.
was like loading my. Let me sign out so I can show everything. So the login button was also different. These buttons were like not same as these ones, and now they look like this. Let me show you the latest that I haven't pushed. Yeah, this one. So if you compare this with this one, is pretty much similar. I don't know
Very
what they
nice.
are doing with the background here.
So
I
they're doing
couldn't like
there's
replicate. There's a repeat,
oh, you
but
you
I
got it.
did the
Yeah.
same. Yeah,
Uh
but yeah, I'm missing a few waves. I don't know why, but yeah,
it looks good.
Yeah, buttons have the same hover.
Nice.
These one are fixed, and yeah, I need to figure out how to, because if I add this here, I guess we need to add something here to go to some dashboard link or things like that. Because if you click here and go here, then you need a way to go back to the dashboard,
Yeah.
and it is not here. So yeah, we need to figure out what we want to do there.
Can you do it where
But
it's if you're not signed in, you go to marketing. If you're signed in, then you just do the regular app.
oh yeah, I can do that. So yeah, I think it looks much better now. We changed
What
the
about
font. We had a different font before. Now it's the
should we
same
have
on both
the
sides.
footer? So like if you go to the bottom here, we have a bunch of links.
This one? Yeah,
Yeah.
I can copy this one. So
And
yeah,
do we have I'm thinking should we have the bottom right corner, we have our chat bot, which is easy to add, super easy to
yeah,
add,
it's
but do
just
you
a
think it'd be
script, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I can add that. So yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Yeah, this is great. You don't get before it was kind of jarring for someone when they
Yeah,
jump from one to the other, and you almost felt like And this is actually a complaint of one of our guys that signed up. He was like, "You guys are sending me to different websites and stuff," um, which is true, and we're still doing that.
How about
But at
this
least
look like
you don't lose the
really
trust.
different? Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
and now
So
it's
fantastic. And this is very all like we're doing data driven, right?
yeah,
We're
yeah.
not just
We're
doing
seeing what.
we're not just doing, yeah, we're seeing what people are doing and then seeing where the drop off is, right? So
Yeah.
this is just one aspect of a multi-tier approach to build trust with people to come to a website. Now on websites, you can say anything. So we really need to back what we're saying, that if you went and like searched for those people or the policies and stuff like that, that we can actually prove it. So we're open source, so you can see the code that we're running. And I was having this conversation with you. I was like, hey, will people want to like verify like that this commit is running on this environment? I don't know if we're gonna go that far, but I think we could have like a link that would take you to the commit number, so you know exactly.
Okay.
That's pretty simple, right? You just have um, you just dump a HTML file. They can go to like slash version, and you can see
Yeah.
what we're actually running. Um, which is also useful because you want to know as a developer, like, well, actually, what am I running? And you can get that exact commit number if you wanted. Um, so on my side, like my number one priority now is, how do we drive people to sign up and try out the product? And so um, we're gonna ramp. We're gonna a lot of my time is gonna be just like ramping up on security, right? We're gonna make sure that our company policies are tight. We're gonna get audited by a third party, okay? And they're gonna see, what we're doing right, wrong. For the most part, we're doing things pretty by the book, like how we're managing our secrets, who has access to what. Only a few developers have access to production. We don't give it to everybody. They have access to dev, but if you want to get production, you better have a good damn reason why you need to get
Yeah.
access to production. Um, so we're going to have a security page also that we'll put in the footer that talks about how we're on GCP, we're doing these procedures, we're not doing GDPR. Like if you go to the website, you don't get prompted about cookies, and it's just too much of a we're right now we're using OpenAI's GPT 3.5 Turbo, right?
Yeah.
Which is hosted in the United States, right? So we can't even the product itself is not GDPR compliant until uh, you know, we tackle America first, and then we can go to other countries afterwards. But we will be compliant to CCPA, California's protection to the whatever it stands for. But California has data privacy, right? Um, so like if someone requests to delete their data within a certain amount of time frame, that'll happen. Their data is not going to leave the uh, United States unless it's like a developer who, like yourself in Argentina, has very locked down access to it,
Yeah.
right? So um, other stuff we're going to do, we talked about like putting the message into Pinecone, which is encrypted and all that sort of thing, but it's better just not to store it in the first place, right? So
Okay.
we're gonna take a latency hit because we want to show that stuff, and we'll do some cool stuff, right? Like, hey, we don't store your message; we're fetching it from your own thing to show you, but we don't ever see it except for the time we create the embedding.
All
We
right.
do store the embedding. Now we can't do anything. It's encrypted also because the on the disk. The only thing that prevents though is if someone stole the disk, they can't access it. But if they came in another way and they hacked into the system, they would still be able to. Like, let's say that we get compromised, they get our app, right? And they're running in the container that's running our app. Now that thing in memory will have the key, right, to be able to fetch that stuff. So if someone hacks us to a certain level, they'll be able to get the embeddings. Now, what can you do with the embeddings? You can see on a 1,400 something dimension plane where a certain message lays, right?
Yeah.
They can't turn that back into the actual original message. So that's just like, you can't really encrypt those embeddings, right? To do, it's like encrypting the indexes in a database so you can
Yeah.
do queries.
So we are not going to store the message. We are just going to store the embedding and then
Yeah.
fetch the message when we need it.
Yeah.
So part of the metadata is going to be the
And I
link to
think,
get the message.
yeah, we'll have the link, right? And maybe that when we generate it, we don't even have to fetch it. It just auto populates, right? Because it's
Oh,
part
okay.
of Slack. If we can
Yeah.
do that, great. If not, we'll have to like fetch it and then, um, but even there, I don't want to be able to fetch these things. I don't want us to be able to access our users' data. I don't want to be able to look at
Uh,
anybody's message.
yeah. Yeah, but we
So we,
we have their tokens because when they install the app, they give us permissions to read their messages because our bot needs to read them.
yeah.
So, anyways, we
So we need to think about like if it's a must-have to access it.
I guess
You
to
know,
give
we're
a good
right.
answer, we're going to like get all the messages and say to ChatGPT, okay, based on these messages, give an answer to the user. So
Yeah.
probably
So I
going
mean,
to need.
we have to get the messages so we can give a
We
good
are not going to store the
summary.
messages, but we're going, yeah, but we need to use them.
Yeah. So and we're throttled too, right? It's not like we can um like when we do the loading part, we're throttled, right? So like
Yeah.
we're fetching messages, we're creating the embeddings, we're not storing the message.
Okay.
When we do get a match on an embedding for however many messages that make sense to make the summary, we do that, but we never actually store it. So wherever we can limit our exposure, data is a liability. We shouldn't be. We're not going to sell this stuff. We're not going to give it to a third party or look at somebody's messages. We just have to make that very clear to the user. Like, hey, here's the source code. You can see that we're not doing anything malicious with your stuff. We're never going to sell it as a part of our privacy policy. Also, we don't sell your data. We don't look at your data. We might, if you have like a certain message that's causing a problem, like you're doing some funky encoding on there or something, we might look at that. But other than that, like we're not looking at anybody's messages.
Yeah.
So, we have to build trust. And that's why we're doing the testimonials on the website, right? Like people that are using it, they're giving us a testimonial. Um, I asked them for the testimonial, and it's like Haley. They're not going through and like writing it themselves. They're using Haley to generate. So they're all kind of
Right.
similar with like the response. But that just shows you like, why would you write a testimonial when you can just use AI to give a high level thing? So we'll have the testimonial. We'll have a security policy. We'll be very rigid in our security policy in doing that stuff. Um, at the highest level, you can do certifications. Those are really expensive, you know. So later on the line, we'll do that stuff. But right now, we can't afford it.
Yeah.
Um, and then third party audited. I am talking to a partner that's going to come and audit us. So we can see, they're not going to audit the code, but they're going to look at all the procedures and stuff. You saw what happened to MGM, right?
Yeah.
Like they got fucked. They're losing. I don't know if they paid it off or anything. Now got their access back, but that was like they're losing 30 million a day. That's how much money they're
Yeah.
making at these
And I
casinos.
saw they were hiring people and like to rebuild everything, and it was like they have to work, I don't know, 12 hours a day, 7 days of the week, and were paying like nothing. It was, I don't know why they do that, but if you're going to hire someone to fix that fast, you have to pay them well because
Yeah, so Yeah, no, like no comment on how they're managing. I mean, they're in a very stressful situation, right? Like
Yeah,
your casino is down, your hotels are down, everything is down. We want to make sure that our security, that we don't get infiltrated at a app level, right? Our secrets are well protected. Our network is very secure. So we're going to do penetration testing. We're going to do. I used sweep today. I said sweep, go through the code, flag anything that could be hacked, right? And we'll address that stuff.
nice.
We just need to be very like meticulous. And when Dependabot tells us that there's a vulnerability, right, that we patch that stuff, test it thoroughly before we put it out there. So, you know, remember I talked about, hold me accountable as the CEO. I don't ever want to come in and say like, we need to get out this new feature. Um, Fuck your security. I'm not kidding. At the last place I worked, I won't even mention it. Like there were so many fucking holes, so many holes. And from the, I won't even name names, but like one of the top guys was like, "We gotta get this feature out. Don't worry about the security."
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. Like that was the fucking mindset, and I was like,
yeah. Sooner or
just
later, yeah,
you're
you're
gonna get
gonna.
hacked, and then this is gonna come back and bite you. Protect your current customers and protect the way that things work first and foremost before the shiny new object. And so, you as the chief engineering officer, if I come in and say like, "Hey, I have this customer. If we crank out this one feature, and they promise they're going to sign." Most of the time, that stuff never works. You made your software worse, working on
Yeah,
something that you thought someone was going to pay you $1 million for. They didn't, right? And you have security gaps that you left open. Your software doesn't work as good as it used to, and your UI is now compromised too because you added this new button that clogs everything up. Um, it's very short term thinking. Usually, you have a big number associated with it, like, oh, it's a $5 million deal. We just
yeah.
get this out. Long term, it just like makes everything a mess. So for that stuff, that's on me, the sales team, and Microsoft's really good at this. Their salespeople are very trained. Sell what you have. Do not sell the future. Do not go around saying like, we're going to implement XYZ for you if you sign now, you
Yeah,
know? So I lean on you to hold me accountable that I don't come in one day
I
with
will.
like helicopter
You
in
know,
and
you
give.
know, I will. Yeah.
That's the good thing about Fede is like he'll be like, I don't think that's smart. And I'll be like, let me come back to you with data. And then like, I'll just drop it. And I'll just like, to get the data, I can work on other stuff that I can actually get the data and stuff. But other times, like I remember I pushed you on like, hey, we need to make the billing site look like the marketing site. And so I was like, all right, let me show it to you. Like,
Yeah,
and when you started looking, you're like, oh, okay, actually, this makes sense. Like,
yeah, yeah.
so it should be on the onus of the product manager, and I'm the product manager, right? So like, it's the onus on me to bring you data and justify that if we do this, it's going to equal results, as opposed to like
Mhm.
you're going to waste a week of your time fucking doing CSS bullshit, right? Like nobody. So like if I can show it to you, way better than like me just saying, "Hey, I'm a person of authority. Listen to me. Just do it." So we don't need yes men or yes women. We need people that are critical thinkers, that push back, that ask for data, and then when the data is very conclusive, like, okay, look, if you do this, it's going to lead to better results. Then I think everybody gets in line. So
Yeah,
we're trying to do things right at this company, and it's not easy because yeah, and these guys that have done successful businesses, guys and gals that have done successful businesses, they fall prey to this all the time. I've seen it at every place I worked. Like, Teladoc, it's no
yeah.
exception. We would work on shit that no one used, and I had at one point I was, um, you remember Device Manager?
No. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that that was like a baby of mine, and like one of my like one of the best developers I've ever worked with. This guy was just he was just a crank, right? Like he was, his parents were software developers, and like his blood was software
It was, yeah,
development.
it was in his DNA.
And the company that has him now is very. I've been trying to get him. Like everywhere I go, I'm always trying to like, hey, I can offer you this, and he's like, I'm happy where I am. I'm like, fuck. But we it was mostly him. He cranked this out. I'd come in with like high level requirements, and it got to the point where like we got, we weren't Teledoc at this point. We were In Touch, and we were getting uh, majority of the developers. So like Oli, who was my boss back then, who was the CTO. He did this tracker. This is actually an idea for Haley. Where people would come in and they would say, I spent X amount of time. Did you ever do this tracker thing where you
Mm,
specified what you worked on? I think it was
yeah,
after, I think you might have,
but I think it was quarterly that I did things like that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
not.
Oh, no, I think it was monthly. At the
Oh,
end of each month, you get prompted and you say, tell me
oh
your
yeah,
percentages of what you worked on.
yeah.
And so I was working on something that's like net new, outside of the main thing that InTouch does. And you know, we sold robots. Like that's where the money came from. So when I started doing this like SaaS play, right, which is like sign up, download an agent, put it on your device, we'll monitor it. You get the InTouch network to move your data around to access these devices at the hospital system. We were building it out and we had like multiple apps a part of the suite. And then with Oli's tracker, he would share that with the whole company. Like, hey, Raj's team is getting like 17, I don't remember the exact number, but it was a large percentage, the biggest project, right, in terms of developer time compared to everybody else. And then the sales team is like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing? Because they're seeing these reports also. I mean, I couldn't like keep it hidden, right? Like everybody's reporting what they're
Yeah,
working on. And so the CEO is now getting pressure from the sales team. Like,
right.
I have customers that are willing to pay blah 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 blah, and you're over here working on a net new thing that does not help the existing business. And so this is why companies, and I was actually watching a talk by Andreessen Horowitz that was talking about like the reason why innovation doesn't thrive at established companies is they're really good at running the business. They're really good
Yeah,
at servicing their existing customers. And when you have a new team coming in that's trying to do something that's not serving those existing customers, right, making them happier, then the system, it's like immunity, like the immunity of the immune system of the organization will start fighting the new threat, right? That's over here trying to take up resources, like a cancer. Like I'm here to take
yeah,
resources, right? And so me as as a senior director, I'm trying to pull in resources for my project, right? So I can build out this new thing that I had a lot of potential. Like it could have been bigger than the existing business. That was my like, oh, I'll make this big. But eventually like the internal immune system came in and was like, stop. So then those people like I had to start giving them away to other projects or working on that sort of
yeah.
stuff.
I guess it's kind of when you have something that is already working, you're like too afraid that if you do something different, it's going like to fuck everything else up. So yeah,
Yeah. So I
I
think the
understand them. It's like yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, maybe those guys should be working on security for the existing customers. Maybe they should be working on, and that's pretty much I'd take people away from that project, start working on like the existing SaaS stuff, patching, usability. I mean, we had the Delta team and the Alpha Omega team, and they were doing usability fixes, and they were doing like basic stuff that I was like, all right, I'm just gonna help fix the basics because
yeah,
if you don't work on that stuff, it goes to shit, and then you lose your existing customers, and the new customers like can't even use this. It's garbage.
yeah,
So I think what the right way to maybe go about this is, and I'm not. This is just what my hypothesis is. You if you're doing a business and you like, hey, I want to do this new line of business, you got to like have them completely separate from the actual company.
Yeah.
So like even with like you know, we've been talking about like doing Discord, right? Maybe like it'd be like a different web marketing website. It would be a different, maybe it would be a different developer team. Like, you know, you might have some stuff that you say, hey, this is shared code, and you can do it, but it's almost like they have their own product manager, they have their own stuff because it's unique. Discord's different than Slack.
Yeah.
But even there, that's kind of similar, right? We're doing a similar thing, but we're just going to a different thing. If you're doing something
Yeah.
completely different, it's almost got to be, you got to spin up a different company. That's maybe a subsidiary. They have their own CEO. They have their own, you know, keep them small, but like completely separate. And maybe you funnel some resources, but you almost don't want to tell the existing business they exist because
Right.
they'll be
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Bring those people over here and do work on this other thing. So I think that's the innovator's dilemma. Clay, what was the name? I forget the very famous book, like of trying to do something new at a company that is really good at what they do.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. Anything else? So that was one thing. Was let me reuse some of these ideas that we're going to be discussing in our monthly. So we're working on Conflow, and I was messing with Chat Dev, and I said like implement Conflow for, and it actually made a repo, and it made a README and a few like um, Python scripts that you can run that would, but it's like what I'm asking for is way more complicated. I'm asking for like Slack APIs. I want to use Pinecone.
Yeah.
I want to use, and there it's just like
That's like,
falls on
yeah,
itself. It can do
another level of effort.
small little, like I have it do a snake game, no problem.
Yeah.
Anything that's like contained, as soon as you start doing like outside APIs, it's just not there yet. It'll get there, but just not there yet. So here's some other stuff. I was gonna suggest like if Haley sees that you need a meeting, that it would like suggest one. Hey, do you want me to schedule this with the right people? Um, but I think there's already a bunch of apps that do that, so I don't know if that is unique. Would be unique for us.
Yeah.
Uh, the ability to set alerts called Smart Subscription. So you can say like, hey, for anything related to this, maybe you could flag a message or you can flag certain topics. And then at the end of the day or the week, you get a thing from Haley saying like, here's the messages that hit your subscription. Like if
Okay.
anybody talks about
Yeah.
Complo, I want to know about it at the company. So that was one idea because we can do this with our embeddings, right?
Yeah.
Um, so this is the problem I ran into this morning. I was like, you know, I had my one-on-one with Yura, which I um, pushed. Usually, you don't want to push one-on-ones. Bad precedent to be like pushing things back because it shows the person like, oh, other things are higher priority than me. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a good look. But you know, he was happy to push it. So I'll try not to do that again. But when I had my one-on-one with him, I was like, oh man, what should the agenda be? Now, wouldn't it be cool if I could be like, Haley, give me an agenda with I'm trying to meet with Yura, give me all the topics that we should talk about. And then based off of the messages it saw, it'll generate an agenda for you of like issues that you talked about before or things that are open. So that was another idea. It's like give me one-on-one agendas based off of Slack conversations. And then here was a good one that me and Yura kind of came up with was an automatic to-do list. It'll
From
automatically
a
pop.
thread or from a,
It just
yeah,
knows like,
from any
oh,
conversation.
you committed to this. Anything that you commit to, like, hey, I'll do that. Boom, it automatically puts it into your to-do list. And then also when it sees that you did it, because you said something about it and looks at it and goes, "Oh, that matches this to-do list item." It removes it too.
Oh,
So you're not really managing your to-do list. You're just kind of like looking at it. Oh, I committed to doing that. So anything you commit to automatically puts there. And when you say like you talk to that person, you say, "Hey, I did that," then it removes it.
that's a good one.
So I mean, we got with the embeddings, we have a lot of stuff that we can do. So it's you'll drown in opportunity of all the great ideas, right? So this is why we're going to have like the monthly product meeting. And then the other thing that we talked about was so we have public channel messages, right? That's public to the organization. Then you have private messages. I want to be able to search on private messages that I have with Haley also, right? But you should not be able to see them when you're searching, doing smart search. Also, if we're in a private channel that we include Haley in, I want to be able to search on those messages. You should be able to search on those messages, but Joe Schmo, who wasn't a part of that conversation, should not be able to see. So we need like isolation based off of who was in what conversations.
Yeah.
Slack kind of already does this, or Slack does do this. Like I can search for things that me and you talked about, but like Joe Schmo can't do it because he wasn't in that conversation. Um, so we should have something similar. Maybe it won't be there for B1, but we should make sure that we have um, the right messages showing up for the right people based off of who was in the conversation. So all these ideas, we're all in with Slack now. So we're doing Canvas.
For the first version, we are only storing messages in public channels, or also in like, no, not in one-on-ones, right, with Haley.
If Haley is in it, I think she's putting everything. Even before we won't go B1 until we have the isolation right. We can't
Yeah.
go exposing things because me and you could be talking shit. We
Right.
shouldn't never talk shit because you know like even Slack, right? If if someone wants to look at your private messages, they can,
Yeah,
right?
the admin. I think the admin can.
The admin access. So
Yeah.
in Slack, you should never be talking shit about anybody, not about your CEO, not about the janitor, not about anybody. And that's actually just good practice. Anything that you do in life, assume it's in the front page of the newspaper the next day. Because when we have singularity is like, Patty said all these things. Nothing's a secret for singularity, right? Um, so it's good practice. Just don't say bad things. If you say something bad, make sure that you said it to that person first.
Yeah.
Um, maybe Haley would be like, chimes in, "Hey guys, by the way, you might think this is a private conversation, but I see you're being
Yeah.
negative. This is not a good idea.
You should be. Yeah.
You shouldn't be." Yeah, hopefully you talk to Joe Schmo about what you're saying about him behind his back. And then the other lesson, I think this is the one that I got from How to Win, not How to Win Friends. Maybe it is in both How to Win Friends and Influence People and Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Is if me and you are talking about someone behind their back, let's say I talk shit. I'm like, he really smells. Like he's Belarusian and he smells bad, right? Now, if I'm saying that to you, you're probably like, oh, I wonder, he's probably saying I'm a dirty, stinking Argentinian to other
Right.
people, right?
Yeah.
So it's just bad practice. You have to be very clear, like, hey, I already talked about this negative thing I'm talking about with you about this person to the other person. Otherwise, your character is really bad, right? Like you don't look good. Some people think that's like oh, I'm giving you some dirt on this person. Really, you're giving dirt on yourself about
Yeah.
what kind of person you are. All right. So yeah, we just need to really hammer down isolation. Who can see what, and make it very tight in the code base when we do the query. Like only these people should be able to access which things. So, and you can do that with filters, right? That's the other thing. We'll have to store users in the metadata, and that won't be encrypted because we need to be able to index on it.
Right.
But I think that's kind of known, right? Well, we'll make it very clear in our security policy of, this is what we're storing, this is what's encrypted, this is what we try to not store at all. We're very clear on that. In fact, once we have the V1 version of semantic search, I will just take that code, give it to Haley. Haley can't go to websites yet, but ChatGPT or whatever, and it'll create the exact thing that we do with the data, so people can actually just read in English, right? So, all right. Hopefully, we get more engagement from the other dev. Yuri couldn't make it. He has a day off today. I think he works weekends and stuff. He's always cranking. All right. Anything else on your side?
No, not much.
We got a like. My dad liked our conversation, so we have that going for ourselves. All right. Catch you later. Have a good weekend. All right.
Have a good weekend.